compressed air, friends. So today we're getting into a little Sullair 3700 variable speed machine, and this guy's puking some oil out the inlet when it shuts down, even under unloaded conditions. Another tech was here, diagnosed it as a stuck inlet valve. Unfortunately, I can't run the machine to confirm his diagnosis, but based off of his service order notes and things, I think he's probably on the right track. So we're going to tear this guy apart today. I got the big kit, basically an inlet valve in a box is what that is. Honestly, with the rebuild kit, you get everything that goes in this inlet valve. You even get a new hat. So I could like pretty much pre-assemble all this stuff, rip it all out, drop the new stuff in and be done. But I'm going to show you guys what this actually looks like on the inside for those of you who may not know. And there's actually a very, very important matter you must attend to when you have this off. Otherwise, it will bite your booty. So I'm going to get this air inlet boot off of here. Get this blow down line out of here, and I'm going to get this hat off, and we will check back in at that point and see what's happening. So this is what we're doing today, friends. Get ready for it. See you. All right, friends. So here we are at this point. I got my top hat removed, and from this point on, you have to be extremely careful that you do not drop anything, because once you start disassembling the actual inlet valve, you are working inside the air end of this machine, and yeah, you don't want to drop anything. So we're going to very carefully remove the screen here. It just pulls out. Out of the way, we're actually getting down to the actual piston here. This is what actually moves up and down to load and unload this machine. So see, here's a groove ring there. Get that ring out. This whole piston pulls up out of there. And once I get this out of the way, this cup actually unbolts from the inside as well. And I'll show you guys what all that looks like here. And again, once we get inside here, we've got a very important piece of business to tend to. So give me a couple minutes to disassemble this, and I shall be right back. Alright, so once you pop this ring up out of here, which you want to do so with caution, because this piece inside is under a little bit of spring tension. It's nothing crazy, but if you don't know it's there, it'll scare the crap out of you. So, we're going to get rid of that. And we're going to get rid of this. And look down in here. Yeah, that oil is really obstructing our view, but we'll get the rest of that oil up out of there and out of the way. And I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of this disassembling to get the cylinder up out of here and everything. And I'll get back to you guys. Alright, so I got the oil out of the way so you guys can see this a little better. So this is our actual piston inside here that rides up and down with air pressure to open and close our inlet valve. And you just reach in here with a pair of needle nose. There's a V-ring on that cylinder. Make sure you note which direction that V-ring faces. that center Allen head screw right there, you can remove that and take this whole cup out of the way. And we're going to want to do that because that other hole right there, directly underneath of that, is an orifice for this inlet valve. That orifice is there so that when this machine goes to load, the air signal is taken away from the inlet valve and it's bled off through that little orifice down there right into the suction housing of the air in. If you don't clean that orifice and it becomes clogged, your machine will never load, excuse me, because the air will have nowhere to go. So it's very important when you rebuild these inlet valves, even if you don't have the big full kit like I have today, if you have the smaller repair kit, which just has all basically the seals and stuff in it, it's still very important that you remove this cup and clean that orifice out. I'm going to get this thing pulled out of here and I'll show you guys that in just a minute. Okay friends, we are back. We've got the actual cylinder removed. I have the little orifice right here out. You can see how tiny that orifice is. So a lot of times the best thing I've found to use on these is like a torch tip cleaner or something. Get in there and clean that out. This little orifice right here, like I said, this is responsible for bleeding the air off from that cylinder when the machine needs to load. And if that guy is clogged, which I mean you can see itty bitty orifice, that'll get clogged nice and easy. So do make sure you get that good cleaned out. I already spritzed a little bit of brake cleaner through there, but I'm gonna hit that with a torch tip cleaner, get that all cleaned out and ready to rock, and then we will begin reassembling. So very important, this guy right here. Super important, and yet he gets overlooked quite a bit. So make sure, and I can see him clean through there. That guy's pretty clean. So make sure you give this orifice some love when you rebuild these inlet valves. Alright friends, a couple of quick notes as we start to reassemble here. If you got the rebuild kit, your new cylinder has 2 holes in the bottom, whereas the old cylinder only had 1. So when you put your new cylinder in, make sure that your hole lines up exactly with that orifice. I usually keep just a little screwdriver in here just to make sure I don't get out of whack. So that's point number 1. Make sure you're lined up like you should be there. And then they give you a little tube of blue Loctite. Do make sure you put some on these threads as you put this back together. We will need Loctite in a couple of other spots as well. Very, very important. Do not skip that step. And so we're going to get this bolted in, and we'll get the piston ready to rock and get everything slathered down with some lubricant and start reassembling. But I just wanted to point those couple of things out. Those holes are offset. If I rotate this, you would see that hole doesn't quite line up with the orifice. So that's why we make sure we got our screwdriver here for alignment. And then once we're secured down, we'll pull the screwdriver out. All good. And yeah, don't skip the blue Loctite. All right, they give it to you for a reason. I'll be back in a minute. Alright, this is an important point to note when you start to put this piston together. This is not an O-ring that seals this piston, it is a V-ring. And the groove, I always say, the groove of the V-ring faces the base of the piston. Okay? It doesn't face this side, the groove faces the base. Make sure you get that installed correctly. And also very important, this piston, the V-ring, and the inside of that cylinder, you want to give all that a real good coating with whatever lubricants in the machine. So I got Sullair in this machine, so once I get this V-ring on, I'm going to give everything a real good coating in Sullair before I squeeze it all together. But very important to know, the base of the V-ring faces instructions in here, our first bid. They give you this breakdown. They actually show you right here, they're showing you the same thing. So a little hump right there is that solid back of that V-ring. So they're showing you the opening of that V-ring faces the face of that piston. So I'm going to get this guy put together and looped up, and we'll go from there. See you in a minute. Okay, friends, so we have our spring retainer installed. Our retaining clip is in. We're good to go here. Next, we are going to build our mushroom. And so when you go to put the stem on, make sure you put a little bit of this flange sealant they give you on here, right on top of here, where it mates up with this piece. So that way you're kind of sealing that connection. And then your little Allen head bolt is going to go right in there. So put your flange sealant on there, and then don't sleep on the blue Loctite on this guy either. Super important. Make sure you put it on. And yeah, we're going to get that built, and I'll check back in a second. Okay, closing in on the final steps here. Got my mushroom all constructed, and just be careful when you go to tighten that screw down. You don't want to get overly aggressive on that stem and mar it up or anything. It's very important that that thing slides smoothly inside that bore. So now we are going to simply get the phone to clip someplace. So now we will simply put the spring in there. Make sure the spring finds the hole there. Just like that. Nice and smooth. I don't know if I mentioned it, but it helps to put a little bit of Sullair or whatever lubricant you're using on the shaft of that mushroom, and then also in that bore where it goes, just to kind of keep everything lubed up during installation. So this is really it, man. You can see I got these bolts for the lid here, and this O-ring for the lid here. Once I get this put back on, I'll get the controls attached here, and we'll check back in then. See you. All right, friends, that's it. We are completely reassembled here. One other note I wanted to make on these little Sullairs like this. So if you can see, back there is our blowdown valve, and when this compressor unloads, blowdown valve opens and it exhausts down this black hose here to this port, comes in here to the inlet right here, and then pressure is dissipated out through the air filter. The other part of this equation is this little check valve right here, and that is there so that when this inlet valve closes, comes up here and seals, the other end of this red line comes over, and it's not very well lit back there. Shed a little light on the subject. So that red line comes over and attaches right there, just below the inlet valve. And what that little guy is doing there is, as I was saying, so when this inlet valve comes up, closes, seals off, we're no longer sucking air in from here, but we've got to keep unloaded sump pressure in this machine, otherwise oil will fail to circulate and we will overheat. So we have a check valve here, and what this does is this allows that port over on the other side, when the inlet valve is closed, we're not going to have a strong vacuum there at that port. So it's going to start sucking air through this hose, and as our sump is evacuating into here, some of that pressure is going to get dissipated out to here, but then this line is going to be sucking that pressure out as well, sucking right through here, bypassing the inlet valve to create our unloaded sump pressure. And then of course, when the machine reloads, sump ceases blowing down, our check valve here reseats, and we are back off and running loaded again. So this is what's creating your unloaded sump pressure right here. So if you have one of these machines that when it unloads, sump pressure just absolutely craters, this check valve's probably stuck closed. Whew, that was hard to say. So yeah, like I said, we're completely reassembled here. I got a couple other small little pieces and parts I'm going to change out over on the other side. Nothing too exciting, and she will be ready to test run. So that is your inlet valve rebuild there, fellas, ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, children of all ages. So there you have it. Hope you enjoyed. See ya.